Good morning. It's 10:02 a.m. It is September 6th. It's Wednesday morning, and I am up and about working on my new channel ideas. So I wanted to come on here and make a quick video because I'm realizing so many things that are going on with my life in the last few days as a result of the reason why I'm on this channel. I think there's a lot of nervousness inside of me. I don't think anybody is quite the same after dealing with being stalked, especially in the way that, in the manner that it was done. I know at my last job, I was very nervous all the time. I always felt like I was looking over my shoulder. I felt very easily triggered by anything that somebody would say to me. Most of the times when they did say things to me, like for example, the people that I work with, I'm not necessarily referring to my boss, but the people that I worked with, a lot of it was relaying messages indirectly from my perps, and I obviously knew I was not comfortable with the whole situation, which was causing me to be very nervous. And it causes me to be nervous in my behavior. Like for example, I don't really write scripts out, but I will be writing more scripts out for my new channel. But when I do make videos, sometimes I try to stick with cue cards mainly, and then I feel in the back of my mind, I'm always feeling like I'm being rushed, like I'm being watched, I'm being rushed, I'm being overly scrutinized, and this whole thing starts like, it causes me to fumble a lot, and I don't like it. I'm very, I'm kind of a perfectionist, and I never got a chance to fine tune and perfect my skill of public speaking because I do recall, I believe that those few Toastmaster meetings that I went to, I do think that there was probably perp activity there, but still, I wish I would have stuck it out a little bit more because I really do feel as though I need more practice as far as like speaking directly without either forgetting what I'm going to say. And I know that there's been videos and tools and tutorials on, most people instead of me, I tend to start filming and just start talking, whereas I've seen it recommended in other videos where they talk and then they pause it, then they read over their lines again and they take the next frame. And that's probably the best method of doing it. And I know this, right? But I end up somehow always reverting back to the whole video and I just start skewing things out of place. So, I'm not very disciplined when it comes to public speaking. And I'm well aware of my flaws, okay? I'm always aware of my flaws. But with time, you hope to perfect those things. So I was also thinking last night, because I did a lot of thinking last night, about this issue. And, I wanted to say that, as a woman who's in this kind of situation, I think my biggest issue and my biggest purpose in this life is to define life outside of the system. And what I'm referring to is the system I'm talking about, what other people normalize and accept as the goals to strive for in life. I believe the opposite. And I do live the opposite. That does not necessarily mean that I'm somebody who, opposes the system. Like, I don't go around boycotting things, unless of course somebody directly does something to me. In this case, I stood up for myself, okay? And I encourage people to stand up for themselves no matter what it is they're facing. Because I'm going to be honest with you guys and very direct, and I've said this before, okay? And I'm going to say as an adult, I'm an honest person, okay? Now, what I'm talking about in my life right now is that I felt an intense amount of misery was in this social group. And I think with this social group, they generally tend, I'm assuming, just by them trying to always push me into this little box, they want me to pursue a life of convention, to marry one of their little clowns or whatever. And I don't want to be a part of that lifestyle. Okay, and then we got Karen Johnson, and I'm not trying to point out names, but I understand her personality type. Okay, we have this particular personality type as things are very black and white. There's no pun intended to race or anything, but it either is this way or it's not this way. So let me put you in this little box. Okay, I am terrified of people who are trying to make me stand outside my comfort zone. It's not because I feel like it's because it's something that I'm completely opposed to. Everything that you present to me, or people think that they're doing to me, I'm repelled by. I'm completely repelled by it. But I see the goodness in a simple life, in pursuing things that are simple and that make me happy. And that's for me to decide. That's for each individual person to decide. I think that if people were allowed, and they should be allowed, based on the laws of the country, but they should be allowed to reassess themselves and think, okay, what is it that I'm really in need of? I was thinking heavily about the work system, how people are so dissatisfied with their job. And the mismatch really comes from not understanding the true combination of where a person really belongs. I was just reading like 2 days ago about the girl with the pink hair. Another person with, weird color hair. That's her choice. She wants to do that, okay? But her boss is having problems with it. So as a form of retaliation, to kind of stand up for herself, they want to have regular hair color. So she's a white woman. She decides to wear like shitty wigs, not even nice ones, just shitty fucking wigs, so that her hair color looks more acceptable. Does that make her a bad person because she has to work in an environment where most people are not doing that? They feel as though there are certain adults, they have a certain image they want to project, certain lifestyle that they want to be the kind of people that are seen as good citizens, or maybe flawless in character, or whatever it is, their image they're so concerned about. She doesn't fit in. Okay, but maybe she fits in working for a particular industry that values that form of expression, and that's where she needs to go. Or is the employment sector so controlled and manipulated where people just get thrown into jobs willy-nilly, and people don't even think or consider the real fit, what really makes a person fit into a job and into what kind of environment. Like when I worked over at the Fucked Up Farmer's Place, I speak very loosely because it's a part of my creativity. It's who I am. And because I have zero respect for that particular person, I don't really care about throwing the F-bomb into his name. Okay. So anyway, but when I was working over there, the reason why I liked it is because, it does match my personality. I like nature. I like, I don't know, I'm not an agricultural guru, but I have a great appreciation for that. And, I liked that, and so it was a good match. You know what I mean? Until, of course, all the drama started happening or whatever. But, putting me places like where there's airplanes, anything that relates to the military or people who assist the military, I don't fucking give a shit about. This is why people are mismatched in certain jobs. And yes, it does fucking matter. If a person is expected to do a good job, to throw all their very best, they're all in it, then those things should be considered. Otherwise, they're just one of these people walking around feeling the drudgery every fucking goddamn day. And I honestly think that the workforce is the biggest form of hell that we have to deal with and contend with in our lives. You know what I mean? So anyway, but so that's what I'm doing today. I'm just kind of hanging out and working on frames. And I did decide to pick out a name for my channel. I'm not going to announce it yet. But basically, I think it's important to stress how and be aware. You're making people aware of who and where we are in the world right now, and having to make certain life choices in order to soften the blow of this reality. I honestly think the reality of what we live and how we live, and the ideals that people have, and with the harm that people inflict on one another, that we need to have some sort of cushion, because it's too much hell. Entirely too much misery. Okay, and I will tell you that I knew nothing but misery throughout my entire work life. Now, I had moments of enjoyment, like, for example, I remember talking to a few people, laughing and talking and stuff like that, okay, but underneath it, they all turned out to be assholes. It was always ended up that way. Okay, I would say my work life, because I was dealing with people who didn't fucking really like me, but somehow wanted to attach themselves to me, made my entire career a living fucking hell. You know what I mean? Whereas I could have enjoyed it had I been with the right social circle. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. So anyway, my life is about picking it up and from where I left off. And I do go through severe depression, because I just feel they took away a lot of my, I feel, okay, I'm going to be honest with you. I can't feel anymore. I don't have any feelings. I don't really think it's possible for me to care about anyone. And I know that sounds like, oh, that's terrible, but this is what I've experienced. I don't know any decent people. I've never met any. So it's very difficult for me to feel anything for people, except for kids. Like when I hear kids crying, and I don't want to hear kids suffering. You know what I mean? But when it comes to people, I don't have it in me I don't have it in me to care about them. And this is a result of what I went through year after year after year after seeing evil over and over and over and over and over again. Being mistreated, having people try to kill me, this sort of stuff. How could I ever feel that way? You know what I mean? So you take that element out of it, the feeling of people have to have a sense of warmth towards another person in order to survive on some level. That's one of the reasons why I have stuffed animals, because when I look at them, I feel that warmth. Like, oh, look how cute you are, and it just all comes back. I need that. And you'll see a lot of women who live by themselves who like their stuffed animals, or they get dolls, or if their apartment complex allows them, they'll usually get like a cat or something like that. I don't feel anything for people. I just look at them, and I can't help but look at them and think that they're evil. And this is how I feel. But I do think that there's some rumors going around, and I would like to clarify them, even though I know people who are against me are going to sit here and want to believe them anyway. I believe that somebody thought that I was hospitalized for mental problems. I've never been hospitalized. I'm going to clear that up right now. I've never been hospitalized for mental problems. People suspected me of being in mental problems only because I am different and I'm extremely spiritual. And only because I want to say that's on their part. I don't want to point blame on this issue, because most people have been sadly conditioned to believe that religion is only like a group, like it is. Like they look at it as a form of affiliation. They honestly forgot the original meaning behind what their religion was supposed to be about. And they haven't really had a lot of familiar they have not been able to familiarize themselves with the true contents of what a spirituality is. It is literally joining the physical plane with the spiritual plane. And most people have not actually seen those sort of divine acts of providence, right? But this is what it is. My entire life is about it. So once people get to know me, they start seeing, okay, yes, we do live in a supernatural world. My life is very, very supernatural. Okay, so for people who don't quite understand that, some people, I understand, like some people see other people who, they're kind of loners, and they feel so left out in life that they become delusional and they start grasping on to God. I've known people like that. There are some sad people who, honestly, they're so alone that the only friend that they have is this character, and they believe there is a God. But you know what I'm talking about. There are certain individuals who are so lonely that they use God as an excuse or their cushion or whatever, so they try to paint me out to be this way. But in fact, I really am a very spiritually connected person. So I can't necessarily say that they're wrong for thinking or that, but the fact is they use people to bully me. You know what I mean? Instead of trying to get the proper help or the proper guidance, they used, they put in this genocide program. They were mean to a genocide program to be ridiculed and possibly killed by other people. So fuck you. Also, so that's a rumor that I would care to say, no, that's not true. I've never had any, the only issues I've had has been a direct result of this targeting program. Like when I went to get antidepressants when I was at work, and I went out on disability after I left Karen's place, it was because of that. Because I couldn't deal. I was shocked. I was like completely flattened that people like Lisa could cause, Lisa, the accounts receivable bitch, that could cause so much fucking chaos in a person's life. Turn an organization against me, all because she thought that I was some sort of whore or whatever. Which, by the way, I'm going to stand up for whores really quick, even though I'm not a whore. As everybody who knows me, I know or probably identifies me with asexuality. But I'm going to stand up for them in their defense. If that's their choice, that's their choice. And usually, when you see a lot of women like bashing women because they're whores, is because they wish that they had the sexual allure to attract more males so that they could be that way. That's what they want to do. So I'm going to stand up for these women who sleep with everybody because that's what they want to do, and they're able to do it. And this is why they get attacked. It's like I get tired of like people trying to hide their jealousy and use other issues as an excuse. The fact of the matter, if that woman's sleeping with everybody that she meets, every man that she wants, good for her. That's her choice. Now, some people will say, well, that's a moral issue. Yeah, it is a moral issue. That's her choice. That's between her and God. If she's a fornicator, then I guess she's a fornicator. But you know what? It's her choice, her right, and God will judge her accordingly. But meanwhile, you're still going to be jealous of that bitch who's fucking everybody. I mean, let's just get real, right? Anyway, so yeah, I've been doing a lot of thinking about, how I've been feeling about this issue, and yeah, I do. I struggle getting up in the morning. I do. I struggle getting up in the morning. I feel like life needs to be extremely intense. Like I need it to be intense, like right now. Like I want change. I want moving. I want movement. Things have to move, And if it's stagnant, or I'm around this like group of people who I don't mesh well with, I'm not feeling it, So people look at me at my life and they think, gosh, Maria's. They look at me and they think that I'm lower than them. I don't feel that way at all. Regardless of the kind of car I'm driving. I know the last car I had, it was white and it was basically being pieced together, and I was actually a hell of a lot happier having that piece of shit car than having to pay it each month. Call me what you want, but I called it being debt free, and I was happier in that situation. You know what I mean? In this world, I just think it's a waste of time to go for things, biting off more than what you can chew. When people say, I'll tell you what makes me struggle. People look at me and they say, oh, Maria, she struggles. I struggle because of other people. Okay. I struggle because other people cannot allow me or get upset because I exercise my right to live as I want to, which I have a right to. So therefore, that's not my fault. Okay. But my struggle is having to deal with a work environment. Like, for example, I remember one time I went to a dinner out, I think it was San Francisco. We went, was it San Francisco or was that Arizona trip that I went to with Karen? It was so perp. It was so perp, just like ridden. It's like every question that people asked me was loaded, and I fucking hated it. I couldn't take it. I hated it. Think how many years I've been pestered, badgered, harassed in the workplace. I'm going back memory lane and talking about all the uncomfortable times that I had to deal with these fucking monsters. Hating it. Ruining every fucking dream I ever fucking had. I was so fucking unhappy. But my only struggle in life is having to sit here and be around a bunch of people that I don't mesh well with. Engaging in conversations I don't give a fuck about. And then if I express any sort of sense of humor, then guess what? I'm someone who needs to be ostracized and blah, 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 blah. The petty game playing. It's like these people fucking hate my guts, and I get it. But you know what? That just confirms my point even more. I find joy in being who I am. I love my life. I love who I am. And I think what I want other people to do is I want them to love themselves as well. Because we all know what this matrix game is. What it is like we want to convince other people. People want to convince you to hate themselves because they hate themselves. And I want to encourage people to say, hey, you know what? This is not the way it is. Don't fucking fall into the illusion. Don't fall into the trap. There's so many things that people run after in this life, and I'm looking back in hindsight, I'm like, that's not worth it. It's never worth it. I've seen so many women throw their friend under the bus to steal their man, their friend's man, only so they can end up in a relationship where that man abuses the fuck out of her. Was it really worth it? I mean, people do crazy shit. They literally dig the hole to their own grave, is what they fucking do. And I'm saying, you know what? Go after what your true heart's desire is. What is my true heart's desire? It's not to sit here and drive the best car. It's not for me to sit here and brag about all the material wealth that I have and all the fake, phony connections that I have. You know? Fuck, my stuffed animal brings me fucking goddamn joy. Painting a picture brings me fucking goddamn joy. These earrings bring me fucking joy. And some people say, well, I can't, don't you need something to care about. You need something to, you need to devote your time and energy into things that you care about. These are the things I care about. Please don't ever tell me I'm supposed to care about people. That's a fucking joke. We all know that's a joke. And I think that my care and my love is sacred. You know what I mean? And yeah, I would love to share a good friendship with somebody. I really would. And I would put them on a fucking pedestal. You know I would. Because I would deem that person worthy of that treatment. You know? I, of all people in the world, am the kind of person who knows what a true friend is. And I can give that love. You know? Like I said, I cared about people in the past. So much so that I still remember their birthdays and shit like that. Because I truly was their friend. And once I identify what the fake ones, you get plucked out. You know what I mean? It's important for me to find sincerity. And if I don't, then I'm willing to die at peace without knowing that someone else just threw another knife in my back. I can't deal with that shit. So anyway, back to my first intro. I don't know, I might skip the intro and add it later. I don't know what I'm going to do. I just feel angry sometimes because I had to double my efforts. Like, I feel very violated because every time I try to step out and do something different, then you got these people coming in and trying to squash it. You may not like my message. You may not like my spiritual views. You don't have to. You know what I mean? When I speak to people, I speak to everyone. They can take it or leave it. You know what I mean? Or they can add their own spiritual guide or religion into it themselves. But I would not sit here and just make something exclusively for certain people. When it comes to, I focus more on spirituality. That comes from within. Okay? I'd rather don't, just get off my shit with that. Okay? Really get off my shit with it. Oh, I also heard that people think that I worship the devil. No, I don't. I think I cleared up my issues in the occult before. That's not true either. I think everyone dabbles with the occult. I think it's fucking normal to dabble with the occult. If you didn't dabble with the occult when you're a kid, I find that very strange. People generally do, in one form or another, But if I was somebody who did do that, legally, even in this country, the Church of Satan is recognized as a fucking religion. No, I am not affiliated with the Church of Satan, and I know people would love to say that. But that's my point. My point is that we have the freedom of religion in this country. Even something like that is recognized as a religion in this country. So, stop being petty. The fact is, I get it. We're not the same. We don't agree on anything, and we don't need to. We don't have to. In fact, that's fine. You know what I mean? But that's not going to make me want to change my life. You know what I mean? I don't care about, any of that stuff. I'm an odd bird, and I embrace that. You know what I mean? And really, to me, I don't feel like I'm odd until other people start pointing it out. Like, there's no way in the world somebody would think that I'm that odd. Yes, I'm a black woman, okay, and I dress nice, but I don't dress, like, for example, at work, you wear like a turtleneck. That's something that's very classic, and anybody at any age can wear it. I just get tired of people, haggling me and pointing me out all the time. And it's really, not my fault. So, anyway. Enough of that rambling. I tend to be able to produce more after I eat. So I'm going to go ahead and get something to eat really quick. And then I'll go right back to what I was doing. What else did I want to say? Yeah, I did want to also touch the subject about when I created the Dark Desert Moon channel again. I was very disappointed by the infiltration and then throwing it up in the air like it's something that you guys needed to decide about. And why does it make me upset? Because, like I said, I have to double my efforts. And then I ended up making the channel, and then I started sensing I'm getting fucked over again. And then I started standing up for myself. Then I started getting angry. Then I started dealing with bullshit at work. So it's made me go right back into the conversation of gang stalking. I want to leave this shit behind. For good. You know what I mean? But I do think it's important, that people could reach out and talk to me if they need to talk to me, because I think that I'm the only person who really can offer people any sort of guidance or counseling when it comes to this targeted individual program. You know what I mean? I think it's important that people can reach out to me if they need to, but I don't want to talk about gang stalking. That was traumatizing to me. I don't want to talk about domestic stalking. Weird family members who have no legal right to say shit about me trying to own and direct my life. I can't. That puts the fear of God into you. That's disturbing as fuck. What's wrong with you? I am seeking free thinkers in my life. I want to be around other people who can think for themselves, who want out of the matrix. I hate what you guys represent. There you go. I hate it. I don't respect it. I don't want it. I honestly think the goal, the goal, the way to true happiness starts from here, our own heart's desires, and then we have to work. It's our responsibility to work towards those, whatever that might be. And I want to tell you something, Karen. You've threatened my life several times, and every time when I thought about suicide, okay, the suicide was not because I was so hurt by what you thought of me. The suicide was, I would rather die than have to endure that bullshit anymore. That's the truth. That's respect. Like, there people in Japan, they used to commit suicide for honor. And it's far more honorable to end your life than be somebody's fucking, doormat. I fucking hate everything about you, and I hate what you try to represent. I hate what you tried to make me represent. I will never represent that. I'm not going to endorse anything. So anyway, I just wanted to say that there's still a lot of anger, a lot of bitterness, and I had to release that, rightfully so, because I dealt with something that was very traumatizing that no one should have to go through, and I had no support. None. Okay? I'm a very strong woman, and I want to help other people be strong. So I'm going to wrap up this video, and I'll be back with another video sometime later. Take care.